everyone, welcome to another episode of the Book More Show. I'm Stuart Bell, and today Dean and I got to catch up with the studio and really talk about why it is you need a conversation starting book. There's some great insights in this one. Over the last week or so, I watched 3 people talk at conferences about using a book to build your business, but they were all talking in the traditional publishing sense. And we know that the cost of that, the overheads of going that route, it's just unnecessary for 98% of business owners. It's expensive, it takes far too long, when the real benefit for most of us, the job of work of the book, is to get that start in a conversation with people who are most likely to become clients in the future. Great insights here. We really dive deep into all of the benefits of a book without getting caught up in the waste of that traditional publishing route. So remember, you can check out the show notes and watch the video to this one at bookmore.show. And with that, let's get to it. It's that time, it goes fast.
Yes.
So today I thought we would talk about what you and I think is the job of work of a book. Because over the last couple of weeks, we were at the house a couple of days ago watching one of the live streams, and people were talking about books way more in the traditional sense, in the bestseller sense, in the multi-tens of thousands of dollars a month of work sense, where there's definitely a purpose for that, a job of work. But that's really not the use case that we're talking about the majority of the time.
So it's funny because just yesterday I was on a Zoom meeting with a gentleman who had, spent tens of thousands of dollars writing a book, right, with a ghostwriter and getting it all edited and laid out, and 250 page like traditional, right, bigger than a standard book with a beautiful, full color dust cover version or whatever, and told me that he had now. He had 3,000 of them in a warehouse. Could we use some of that content for
Christmas presents for friends and family?
Paperweights. I use books like this as a nice lift for my laptop, a laptop lift, you know? But I'm such a big believer in the use of getting the information out, like using it to gather the audience. And then it's so much, I think, better to spread out the content over a period of time to the people who are attracted to the initial message of the cover. Like that's the way, that's the path we went down. Like he's got what I think would be the most valuable thing for him is, thinking about doing some lead generation and then converting each of the chapters in the book into something that we could run postcard or, information for, turn each one into a lead generator, but then give somebody the full book
version.
Right, exactly. And highlight that.
Yeah. This idea
version
of funnels and campaigns versus build it and they will come. It's such a broader opportunity to attract the people who are attracted to those 6, 7, 8 different chapters, and then use it over the long run rather than, he's got the book already, but in terms of thinking about creating one, using those action steps or things that resonate to bring people into the world, then there's a smaller piece that advances the conversation, but the long tail of the engagement with people over the longer period, just the short one, the opportunity to use the additional stuff rather in that funnel. We get people a lot of times who come saying, hey, I've been doing the same presentation for 5 years. I've got it down. I've got it recorded. There's a great recorded version. I just want to use that. And I can't think of the last time we did one of those because it always turns into more problems than just recording something fit for purpose. Yeah. But definitely don't not use that content, but just use it outside of the book. The book is, its job of purpose is to start the conversation, not to convert in the pages. Few people read it.
Right.
The overhead of doing full traditional version, both the time and expense and the
delay and the then you've got them and they're more expensive to print and they're a bigger commitment, printing wise. So inventorying them, you get so much time to get to the point where you've actually got the book in your hand.
Yeah.
And then going out. Now, there's a lot of good things that can come, from writing a perennial, like writing a category.
Defining book.
Yeah. Like because we were talking about you were talking about what we were live streaming was the Joe Polish, the Genius Network annual event. And in that room, there's a lot of people who have written New York Times best-selling books and are, known for that, but they've got reach. They've got an audience like that. So when they write a book, it automatically catapults
lifts
to
that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. As opposed to, I think what people think about that is that, well, if I have, they're looking at correlation as causation.
Right.
They're looking that, well, that guy's rich and famous and he's got a New York Times best-selling book. Ergo, if I have a book and it gets to the top of the New York Times, then I too will be rich and famous, even though I'm neither right now.
Yeah.
And so it's not cheap to get a book to be on the New York Times. First of all, just the fact of writing the book itself is going to be, probably in the $30,000 to $100,000 is what the people who are doing that are doing that in just creating the book, and then a year probably in reality of time to get that going. And there's a place for it if you are already an established idea in the marketplace, But I just feel like we've uncovered a shortcut, a fast pass to get the
psychological
outcome
hack
that you're looking for by realizing that the triggering mechanism of the title of a book is what does the job of work that you're hiring the book to do. If you're in a point where you don't have a big audience, you're hoping to gather an audience. Then that's the lowest. I was just writing in my journal about this, like some of the reliable, repeatable models that I've developed, and if I had anything that would be the fastest path that I would take for any market. If I were going into any market, I would take all the profit activators. I'd look at profit active one, select a single target market. So I'd zone in on who is that person that I'm trying to reach. Then I would think to myself, okay, what are the hopes and aspirations of those people? What are the thoughts, the questions that they've got, the things they're pursuing, the problems that they have? I'd create this whole word palette.
That avatar of where they are and what their thinking is, trying to intersect the same place.
Observing them, getting all of those, identifying, do I have visible prospects or invisible prospects? And if I've got invisible prospects, then where are they hidden? If they're fish, what pond are they in? This kind of thing. And then I would look to create a title of a book that would definitely be compelling to that audience.
Groups.
And I would write the minimum size book that would do the job of work to get that. As long as I can have a book that has that title, 95% of the job, saying 95, I'm being generous with the 5 because I believe that 100% of what they're responding to is the title and the fact that it's a book and you've delivered a message to the right audience that's compelling, right? We were talking about Dr. Milky at breakfast this morning, and that idea of a book about plantar fasciitis, that's a small book. If you put the plantar fasciitis solution, that to the people who have that problem,
it's jumping off the page to them.
And they don't know or care that it's 250 pages or 50 pages. Doesn't matter. The job of work is just to get people to say, I want that. Then, when the money, rather than spending the money to write the definitive work, plantar fasciitis or whatever your topic is, to spend the money on gathering the audience. Knowing that if we can identify 1,000 people who have a recognized, acknowledged interest in the plantar fasciitis solution or the adult acne solution or the, Longboat Key beachfront condo report or the 90-minute book, any of those things. We get 1,000 of those people and then nurture our relationship with those people for over the next 100 weeks, that so many of them are going to do something. It's like so for $5,000, we can turn that into $155,000 or more in that period of time.
Because the book in that overall funnel is doing its job of work of collecting the interested parties up front. Yeah. And then the longer tail of engagement is done with all of the other things around it. Yeah. But the book is amplifying that message and starting the relationship off from a place of giving useful information. Yeah. And the minimum viable book that you were talking about, the minimum viable content, is just that, the starting point that makes the people who opt in feel like they've been delivered the answer they expected. They're not feeling that they're bait and switched into something else. They've got value from it, but they're clear understanding that there's way more of the picture, way more of the journey over here. Yeah. And here's each little step.
Here's the next step. Yeah. That once somebody's in there, what's the next thing? Now that we're looking, I'm just kind of going all the way through the 8 profit activators. Select a single target market, compel them to raise their hand. That's the only job of work of profit activator 2 is to get somebody to raise their hand. Now we're in profit activator 3. If we can get 1,000 people in that pool that we're nurturing over 100 weeks, not the next 100 minutes, the 100 weeks, 2 years, that half of them are going to do something in that category, right? Yeah. It was so funny, right? Because before you walked in here, I was recording a podcast with a real estate agent in Guelph, and we talked about, he's been generating leads for about a year now, and intermittently following up with people. Fell off on sending the weekly emails that we recommend. Then he sent a 9-word email to them. Hey, are you still looking for a house in Guelph? And he got 8 or 10 people who he got a lot of responses, but he got 8 or 10 people responding back saying, oh, we bought a house. Hey, thanks for all your help, right? And so he fell off in doing it and missed out on that opportunity. Yeah. And then Profit Activator 4 making an offer that's going to make it super easy for people to get started, right? Yeah. Just take the next step. So that formula, that's been, tried and proven, and I could deploy it quickly. Yeah.
That's the thing, the speed to market and the opportunity cost of doing something longer and less defined. We get people all the time talking about that long tail who joined the 90-minute book list years, and 6 or 7 years ago.
How much does our signature book cost now? What are
$2,000?
$2,000 for the signature fastest 90-minute book, the fast the version. And then for people who want to get a narrative version, we can do $3,000 to turn it into a more narrative thing, which I'm if I were doing it, this is what I say to people all the time, is that I would start with the narrative version. And I know I'm an advocate for it. And this is how I know that most people who, we own a company that does it, the 90-minute book company that creates these 90-minute books that are driven by a book called the 90-minute book, right? That people opt in to get. Yeah. And
we're not going somewhere else to write our
right.
books.
We don't have it's not a 252-page hardcover dust jacket book. It's a 90-minute, it's the exact thing that we're showing people how to do. Yeah. And that is that's been millions of dollars from a 90-minute, 50 or 60-page book. Yeah. That is a transcript of a targeted interview that I did with Susan Austin, explaining the concept of the 90-minute book. And it's done in that format of
we intentionally kept it
format,
right?
But divided into the chapters and the things. Yeah. And people say, oh, I want to do a narrative book. And they don't believe that when I say that's what I would do, a 90-minute book is a perfect example of the signature one. And that's how I know that probably 75% of the people who do a 90-minute book with us have never read the 90-minute book.
No.
They opt in for it. They get it. They see it in their hand.
Yeah. I was the cover of it, which most people have seen. The cover of it is an orange cover.
Yeah.
I was on the phone with someone last week who was convinced that the thing that brought them to us, working with us, was that little blue book. I mean, it's people don't remember the details.
Yeah.
I think even we talk about readership rates often.
Well, it may have been somebody who, because I have a blue covered book that looks like the 90-minute book called the 50-minute marketing sprint.
Right. And
So it may
email
have been
mastery as well.
And email
It was definitely the 90-minute book,
Okay.
but they definitely got it wrong. But they may have seen the other ones as well and just confusing which one it was.
Yeah.
But that point on people want the outcome.
Yes.
For the job of work of these books that we're writing, we're not writing them for people to be entertained. The product isn't the book. The product is the conversation. The people, for them, the outcome is the thing that they're interested in, not being entertained by the words.
Yeah.
And that minimum start that gives them the value that leads to other conversations. And that conversation might take 6 years to mature, as we get with some of the book clients. Yeah. But the opportunity cost of not doing it, I was just recording a podcast before I came across here for a financial advisor that we've worked with, and they've now got a huge program that really came from the second book. So the first book they wrote was single target market, very dialed in. The second book they wrote came from the first. It was almost like a framework book. The first book was Bill Bloom. So first book, Yachter's Guide to Early Retirement, very specifically targeted at that group of people who he enjoyed working with. The second book, Retire As You Desire, is the framework that kind of came from conversations of the first. Yeah. And now Retire As You Desire is a big platform that they've got that really is the model that they hang all of their work off. And it wasn't until, this was 3 years later maybe, the second one came out. So we were joking and saying, for people listening to that show, wanting to get started, well, the best time was 10 years ago, but the second best time is today. And having something that gets in front of those people, because just as you were saying with the realtor, the opportunity cost of engaging with people later and saying, oh, that's great. Yeah, I just happened to do that thing that you're talking about a couple of weeks ago. That fast to market, the job of work, the minimum effective amount, that's the big difference.
But that's what I look at is literally for $2,500 in less than 30 days, you could have a book and have your first 100 leads, right? If we say that we can generally, we look to get, depending on how narrowly focused they are, we're looking in that $5 range plus or minus as the...
that seems to be about average.
Right, the cost to get those leads. And I look them as a bundle of 100 people. Yeah. That if you look at that 100 people, it costs $500 to generate 100 leads. Yeah. And if we were to look at them in 100 weeks, and it's a certainty that some number of those are going to have bought or, purchased whatever solution or whatever the idea is, the category. So if you think about Bill Bloom, if they're a financial advisor, that out of 100 people that opt in for that Retire As You Desire book today, that if we fast forward 2 years, 100 weeks, how many of those people will have sought out or engaged in an advisory relationship? Yeah. And that's so many. Yeah. It's crazy.
And when you tie it down to time-based things as well. So again, we deal with a lot of financial advisors and it's somewhat my background. So those examples always stick to mind. But when you think about the time-based thing, as people, what to do at 62, retirement ready, all of those people passing that threshold in those same 100 weeks.
Yeah, 10,000 people a day just in the United States are turning 65 right now. And that's going to be true for the next 11 years. Right. So we've got that momentum going there. And I would say, like, picking a market like that, that's how Lee Iacocca got rich twice. Right. With the Mustang for the 18-year-olds. That the lead baby boomers were 18 looking for inexpensive, good-looking, fast, sporty cars. And then 20 years later, the 38-year-old lead baby boomers are looking for minivans. And he created the minivan for Chrysler. And that became a big hit for the next 20 years. And if he was looking at it now, that same baby boom group now are turning 65, right? Almost half of them are through already, have turned 65. But you look ahead and you start thinking, okay, we still got 10 or 11 years of 10,000 people a day turning 65.
Yeah.
It's like such a great, and they've got all the money.
Right.
That's the biggest thing, right? If you look at it, it's like such a...
That's the pool of people who have got the disposable or the requirement to do things as they're moving.
Accumulated income, accumulated assets, right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such the whole idea of having beneficial constraints, which is one of the book blueprint scorecard mindsets, this idea of there's kind of internal constraints on meaning that you get it done, so reducing the scope to be the most valuable but minimal effective dose, but then also putting time-based scopes around it, that the clock's ticking. I was just with my brother at the weekend, so I'm 47, he's 40, his girlfriend's 5 years younger than that, so we were talking about kids. So our youngest is 13 and Phil's youngest is 6, and Phil's girlfriend was talking about that age, and we worked out that the age difference between the two of us is the same age difference from when Lucy and I got together and the youngest age that Arbery was to now, and that time disappeared. I think in a kind of clock ticking sense.
So I had this conversation with the financial advisor yesterday, who I was, doing some illustration showing him that, 62 to 67-year-old as a target audience right now. That's the most likely time where people are going to elect Social Security. They're either going to 62 or 67 or going to wait their 70. But in that range, he was thinking that as far as a target audience, he was interested in going to 55, thinking we expand the audience, you get more people. Yeah. But I said that the 55-year-olds are going to have a completely different set of emotional needs now than the 65-year-olds. And it's exactly the difference between talking to a newborn mother, a mother with toddlers, with young preschool kids, and a parent of teenagers who are getting ready to go to college. Yeah. Right. That's has dramatic the difference.
Right. As
in the financial needs and advice that you would give to a 55-year-old versus a 65-year-old. And the fact that we can focus and narrow your target market, that I think 55 is a good
bit
thing.
Difference.
You know what you don't hear anymore? I don't see it anymore, but when the financial advisory business was getting started, the target group, the message that was being talked about in the 80s and 90s was this idea of Freedom 55. Right. Do you remember ever seeing or hearing that? That was the thing, was to these 35-year-old, 40-year-old people, that getting them investing now with an eye to early retirement at
even
55.
in the UK. That was the same age, same deal.
I hear that as much. No. It's not the prevalent message.
No, now it's going back to work as a greeter at Walmart at 75.
But that's the truth, right? That has really...
And knowing that and understanding it, and not only knowing your audience and what you can do for them, but knowing where they are and what messages they're hearing, so how you can intersect at that point. That's a very clear opportunity point. So regardless of what you know, almost, it's what they're hearing, because this is the top of the funnel. This is the first point of a long conversation. And that minimum effective dose around that point, that's the difference.
So,
alrighty.
What do you think? Where's the, I think my advice for people on that is, narrow your focus and, create, because I think for that same thing, that's what I would be looking at, is if you've got a $5,000 war chest that you're trying to maximize there, that's exactly what I would do, is a signature book just the minimum. You can upgrade it or add more to it or do things because
it's not written in stone.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We're not tapping them out on stone tablets.
Yeah.
You can update it as you go and add to it, but it's not going to make any difference in the job of work of Profit Activator 2, which is to gather the prospects.
Yeah.
And as you're adding these, I would look at definitely setting up a 100-week, 100-week process of maintaining the relationship with them and just monitoring that, so you look at, if you could get 1,000 of them for $3,000 to $5,000, $6,000, if you whatever the number is, to get 1,000 prospects,
who have self-selected as interested. It's not just 1,000 random eyeballs. It's the people who have opted in,
right? And you start to realize what an asset that is. We were doing the math on there's established norms, like in the financial advisory business, especially, it's an assets under management kind of approach for most of these companies. If they're fiduciary advisors, fee only, they're generally charging 1 to 1.25% per year for management of the money. $1 million of assets under management is a $10,000 annual fee, and they stay for years and years. But if we took it, established it at 5 years, be a 100
number.
100 people with $1 million is 100 million assets under management, which would be $1 million a year. Over the 5 years is a $5 million enterprise value, value over that lifetime value over the 5 years, which it would be more, but 5,000 and 5 million. And if you were to buy that, the enterprise value of that is there's the general rule of thumb is about 3 times gross revenue.
Right.
So an advisory firm with 100 million under management would have a value of $3 million. That would be about what somebody would pay for that book of business. So you've automatically created a $3 million asset that you could exit at any time. Or if you were going to buy it,
that's what you can
buy it. You could buy instantly $100 million under management by buying an advisory firm with $100 million of assets under management. And and you'd pay the $3 million for it, and you'd amortize it over a period of time, or you could create it.
Yeah.
Right. And you start to think if you had a way to gather people who are 60 to 67 years old, who have $1 to $3 million investable assets, and they live within a 10-mile radius of your office, there's thousands of them in every market. I mean, we just did the math, even sitting at the cafe where we go in the mornings. I was showing Austin, the advisor there, that within 12-mile radius of the cafe, which gets them all of Winter Haven, there were like 2,500 people who are married homeowners with $1 to $3 million investable assets, 62 to 67 years old.
Yeah.
So you think about that, you're surrounded, you're sitting, we've been calling it, a $1 billion oil well.
Yeah.
That you're sitting literally right underneath your feet.
Yeah.
There's $1 billion of potential assets under management. If you take 1,000 people with $1 million, that's all it takes, right? And if you've got a way to get those people to raise their hand.
That's the thing. It's underestimating what's on the doorstep and the size of the total prize or oil well, and just having a way of tapping it and not thinking that you need to be Exxon and huge refineries everywhere, but just a prospector out with a drill. And for you individually, at least to begin with, that's all you need. Yeah.
Well, this is a story about a man named Ed, poor mountaineer, barely kept
that we did get in the UK. SNL we never got, but the Clampets, that was a big.
One day he was shooting at some crude, and up from the ground come a bubbling crude. That's right. So there you go. Black gold.
So the lesson is go watch the Beverly Hillbillies and then come to 90-minute books and
Yes.
get your oil well sorted.
Well, I'm excited. I can't say it enough. It's frustrating even to think and see all this opportunity that people have.
Grabbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you. Till next time.
Okay. Thanks.